What's up, everybody? This is Dark Macek with Brutally Delicious, coming to the review of Sacred Weather's brand new album, Keep the Fire Burning. Okay, so Sacred Weather. That is like the most badass band name ever. Immediately, I'm asking myself, is this going to sound like Dokken? Is it going to sound like Saxon? Is it going to sound like Motley Crue? Is it going to sound like, I don't know. It just sounds metal. And that's enough to get me interested. It's a brand new band for me. I was quite surprised to find out they are from Indianapolis. I feel like most bands of this ilk are actually coming from Europe nowadays. Also, I literally cannot name another band from Indianapolis. Anyways, what I was kind of expecting was just some amalgamation of a bunch of different 80s metal, and that is pretty much exactly what we've got here. We have some speed metal, we have some traditional heavy metal. There are times when it feels like kind of thrash metal. It's just awesome, great throwback 80s metal, the kind of thing that I was wishing was there when like deathcore was big 20 years ago. It has very classic production too. Something that often bothers me is when bands just use a heavy production but aren't particularly heavy. Though I am a fan, Volbeat is like this. Musically, they're not that dissimilar from Blink-182, but the guitars are really distorted so people think they're metal. This is more like AC/DC. The heaviness comes out through the performance rather than by how the guitar amps are set. And before we talk about some songs, I want to say the other overriding theme of this album besides quote-unquote 80s is that it's fun. I'm not really sure what the lyrical content concerns. I'd be surprised if it's about stuff like nuclear war. It's so oomph. More Hit the Lights than Fade to Black. And with that, let's talk about some songs. Spitfire at Night. The title might remind you of Aces High, but the song's actually not really like it. It's more Gamma Bomb or like Bloodsport, if anyone remembers that band that did Lethal Tender a few years ago. I'm also reminded a lot of Wolfbane, which had Blaze Bayley before he hit Iron Maiden. They're a very underrated band, so if you don't know them, you should. Well, Mandela Effect. It's Wolfsbane. I always thought it was Wolfbane. Phantom Highway. More great speed metal. This time I'm reminded of actually Primal Fear, so less American. Kind of funny because, Maiden and Gamma Bomb are also not American, but I thought this style usually was. Great solos on this one, and that is a rarity for speed metal. I think when the bass drums are just going at 200 miles an hour and there's not a ton of room, it's hard for the guitar solos to stand out, but they did it here. Fallen Angel. No, this is not a Poison cover, although like Maiden also did a Fallen Angel. This is a strange but awesome combo of like Virgin Steel and then maybe someone like Rick Springfield. It has lots of metal energy and definitely reminded of like the song Age of Consent by Virgin Steel. But there's also some 80s pop rock sensibility, and I mean that in the best way possible because 80s pop rock was some of the coolest shit ever. Come on, even like the most brutal cult black metal person admits Summer of 69 fucks. Last but not least, Malevolent Eyes. Here's another cool one. It actually sounds like modern Judas Priest, like Rising from Ruins. I think that's on Firepower, but with the old school production. This is actually a testament to both this band's songwriting and to Judas Priest, which it makes you realize that it's not just Andy Sneap that brought that band back. The songwriting is still cool. But to bring it back to Sacred Weather, it's just really tight, punchy songwriting. It does not need to be 200 BPM to hit you. It's just well written. Okay, so give me some more of this 80s metal stuff. As a listener, I basically have two dominant styles. One is modern symphonic power metal, stuff like Rhapsody or Twilight Force or Fellowship, and the other one is 80s metal. Give me that Priest and Maiden and Queensryche and Accept and all of that. I've spent so much of my life wondering why that had to end. Even though I love bands like Alice in Chains, I'm always left wondering what would have happened if that was just where music continued to develop instead of totally veering in the 90s. And thankfully, we now kind of have an idea. Thanks for this, dudes. Rock on.